All right, well, good morning, everybody. Good morning from the heart of Dallas-Fort Worth here in Richardson, Texas. My name is Gaurav Shekhar. I'm the program director for the Graduate Business Analytics Flex and Online programs. I'm joined by some wonderful people here. My colleague, Sylvia Leventhal, that a lot of you are already aware of, and you have already interacted with her. And then we have some guests who are going to talk to us about how do we make it possible, financing our degrees. Before we get into the segment when they will have an opportunity to talk about their particular organizations and how they have been helping students finance this, I want to just take you through some of the ways through which you can estimate how much will it cost to attend school at UT Dallas. Now, again, these numbers are estimates. The actuals may be different from this, but what we do is we always take the higher end of what we are trying to estimate, and then after that, anything that changes, it could be a lifestyle expense, or it could be things like scholarships. It could be reduction in your tuition because you got an on-campus job, or an in-state tuition as opposed to you all being out-of-state students in case you're an international student. But whether you are a domestic or an international student, the number one question on your mind after getting an admit would be, how do I fund it? There are many avenues. Some of you might already have clarity as to how you're going to finance it. We're going to share some options today with you and see if any of these end up being something that you'd like to explore. So when we talk about the expenses, what are some of these expenses that you may incur as a student here at UT Dallas? The number one expense, of course, is going to be tuition, school supplies. That is going to be the biggest chunk altogether. And then on top of it, you have your living expenses, which is your rent, your utilities, groceries, and any other personal expenses that you may have. Now, the part where we talk to you about the school expenses is something that we can estimate to whatever the actual number will look like, to an extent. The living expenses are lifestyle expenses. If you have expenses which are more than $1,000 a month, then that's your expense. There are people who find out ways through which they can save money. They can live the entire month of $500. Well, that's also an option. That's on you. But again, if you have a lifestyle that needs more money, then that's how it's a scale that moves based on what your needs are. But we'll still estimate using some averages there as to what our students so far in the past have gone through. Now, when we talk about expenses in terms of tuition, it depends on a lot of different things. Number one is the credits taken per semester. In the MSBA Flex program, because it's a state-funded program, that means that as you take more and more credits, your per credit hour rate goes down. And I'll show you the tuition tables in a moment, that in case you want to go ahead and see what exactly the tuition will look like for X number of credits, you can find that out as well. Or if you want sample letters, because a lot of you ask for letters from the university that how much is this going to cost or what the tuition would be, we have a self-service portal that you can use to get those estimates that you can show to your banking institutions. Your Texas residency is a big factor here. So if you're an out-of-state student, if you're not a Texas resident, a Californian and let's say an Indian student are the same in terms of tuition, because both of these people are not Texas residents. The difference between the Texas residency and the non-Texas residency is about 2 times. So if you're paying, let's say, $7,000 as a Texas resident, you're paying $14,000 as out-of-state student. However, things like scholarships, and there are some scholarships like the Dean's Excellence Scholarship that a lot of you apply as incoming students, that comes with the ability for you to pay in-state tuition rates. Now, again, whether you qualify for that or not, on the letter, the confirmation of your scholarship will list whether you qualify for in-state tuition waiver or not. Then there are some additional fees in case you want to go with a completely online class, not live lecturing, and there is no live lecturing right now. Either it is in person or it is going to be online, which means it's an asynchronous class, it's pre-recorded. That might have a small charge on top of what you would pay for a regular class. But if you are part of the flex program, because being a state-funded program, the tuition decreases, the per credit hour rate decreases as the number of credits increase. If you're part of a non-funded program, for example, some of you might be part of the one cohort, it has a flat tuition rate. But overall, the tuitions match for both the programs to an extent. Another expense is going to be the health insurance. It's about $1,300 per semester. Again, it can be waived. You all have to do is just show the proof that whatever coverage you have from your provider is the same coverage that UT Dallas accepts. And there is a form on the Student Health Center website that you can fill out to send the details of your insurance, and you can get that waiver. Now, to be honest, the health insurance that is provided through UT Dallas is top of the line. And really, one of the things that you have to make sure is that you're covered well. So in case of any medical emergency or when things don't go well and you really need to see doctors, it can get very expensive. So what you get from UT Dallas is really top of the line. There is a $100 per credit hour fee that the Jindal school charges. So based on how many credits you take, there'll be an additional $100 there per credit hour. Another thing is your supplies, books, calculators, clicker, online subscriptions. You can estimate it to be about $1,000 for the entire program. This is not for one semester, but for the entire program. Now, even though I've put that $1,000 to $1,500 here, a lot of students don't end up spending that much money. I mean, that's a lot of money. A lot of our instructors will provide you with books, online resources. We have a library that can help you with those resources. So you don't really have to pay a lot of money for books and stuff. But still, when we are planning, we always plan with a higher number in mind and just hope that we don't have to spend that so that you're prepared. Now, this particular website can help you get some tuition estimates. I'm going to take a moment to just show you how this really works. So all you have to do is just look for tuition UT Dallas, and tuition UT Dallas will get you to the tuition estimates website. Being a prospective student, if you want a statement, sample statement, go ahead. For the MSBA, you'll select graduate. I'm just assuming, a non-resident. Tuition plan, there is for variable and guaranteed. Now, there's always a question, what's the difference between these two? Variable starts, when you compare variable and guaranteed, they both start at a lower, the variable starts at a lower end as compared to guaranteed, which means the variable tuition will change approximately 2% every year, whereas guaranteed will stay the same irrespective of the number of years that you spend. So you kind of get locked in with guaranteed that this is the tuition rate that you'll pay. It's slightly higher than variable. And since you guys will be here for 1.5, 2 years, most of you, variable is okay because it starts lower, and then even if it increases by about 2%, between 2 to 3%, it's not too much of an increase. So a lot of people go with variable, but this is your choice. You can go with what you want to. College and school, you'll select it as the Naveen Jindal School of Management. Let's say I want to go for 9 credits. It tells me my out-of-state tuition estimate is $15,526. I can print it and provide this to my bank if they're requiring some kind of an estimate. Another thing is to see how the tuition works. So we got the tuition plans here. No, sorry, my apologies. The tuition rates. Go to the variable rate, variable rates. I'm just using one example. You can ignore the first two major columns because they're for undergrads, but then the resident and the non-resident fee for graduate students, and it's the same throughout UT Dallas for all these state-funded flex programs. You'll have to see how many credits you're going for, and then what your the tuition will look like. So it tells you, let's say for 9 credits, it's 14,626. It doesn't include the supplemental fee that JSOM charges, which is for, and JSOM is the Jindal School of Management. That $100, every school has its own supplementals. So they don't include it in this table. But you see how if you add the $900 here, $100 per credit hour, it becomes the same 15,526 that you just saw. Now, an interesting thing to see here is after your 12 credits in a semester, and this is every semester, the fee doesn't increase. So technically, 13th credit onwards, you're not spending additional tuition. So let's say somebody takes 12 credits and another person takes 15 credits, both of you will end up spending the same money. So technically, your 5th course is free that you take. Some people want to, take additional courses just because it helps them save. Not something that we recommend, but yeah, just wanted to let you know that after 12 credits at UT Dallas, the state-funded programs don't charge additional fee. And this is per semester. Okay. So based on what we just saw, the tuition estimate for an in-state student, and we're just going with averages here. We're going with 4 semesters worth of you being at UT Dallas, taking 9 credits each semester. An in-state student will end up spending this number, 8,444, and out-of-state will have this one, 15,526. Health insurance is another $1,300, and then just some miscellaneous fee. This is for the entire program, just a rider there. Your living expenses, I'm estimating about $800 a month. As I said, this can go down, this can go up. This depends on you. Most of our students are in the range of $600 to $800 a month. So if we use these numbers over 4 long semesters, including your living expenses, you're going to spend $56,828, so almost $57,000 if you are paying in-state tuition. And out-of-state, let's say throughout the time you paid out-of-state, it's about $85,000. Now, keep in mind, the major thing here is your living expenses. And 4 months is typically a semester, so that's where your living expenses will be about $3,000 to $3,500. Now, some of the ways through which you can fund is you get an on-campus job. Irrespective of your residency, you can get an on-campus job from the first day of the semester. Most of them pay about $10 an hour, so let's say about $600 is what you can earn per month. A lot of people they use this money for their living expenses, so that is taken care of. Let's say from your second semester you become a TA or an RA. Now you can't become a TA or an RA in the first semester, but let's say from the second semester you become one, and it's a semester to semester thing. It pays you about $1,000 after taxes, plus you get the ability to pay the in-state tuition rates. So a TA over a period of, let's say, a semester gets a benefit of about $13,000-14,000 through tuition reduction and the salary. Internships and co-ops, the average has been about $23 to $25. So let's say about $3,700 to $4,000 is what you earn per month. And a lot of our students, especially in their second year, they use their internship money, the salary, to start paying their tuition or their living expenses. Or let's say you have family to support and you want to support them, you can do that very easily. Scholarships help you with a tuition credit of $1,000 in an academic year. That's just $1,000. But if you are an out-of-state student and that scholarship makes you eligible for in-state, then you get that benefit as well. Over a period of 2 semesters, your benefit would be about $16,000-17,000 because of the conversion from out-of-state to in-state tuition plus $1,000. We have education loans as well that can take care of your tuition and living expenses, and most of our students go through that. Most of our students avail an education loan because that helps them take care of their expenses very well. So really, to understand what's some of those options that we've got, two very good companies who've been working with us for a long period of time. Again, with our students mostly, but we're fortunate enough to have them here to talk about it directly. So Brian from Prodigy Finance is here with us, and we have Ramya from GradRight. Ryan, would you like to go about explaining to everybody what Prodigy does in terms of funding their degree?
Absolutely, thank you. And I'll say too, just to say an extra thanks. I've worked both in schools and now at Prodigy with a number of schools, and offering these types of sessions for students to go through the nitty-gritty details of funding is so important, and it's something that UT Dallas, especially Jindal, does so well. And I think it's incredibly important to not just leave it to the student to figure all of this out, because it is quite complicated. So really appreciate both UT Dallas and GradRight, who we work with very closely. Happy to see them there. That, you know, it takes a village to get all this information together and make sure that students can access education through funding. So thank you for having me here. So we can go to the next slide. Again, my name is Ryan. I'm here to tell you about Prodigy Finance. Prodigy offers education loans for international graduate students without cosigner or collateral or in-country credit. So all of you are interested in studying in the US, of course, so that means that you don't need to have credit in the US, you don't need to have a cosigner for your loan, and you don't need to have collateral. So that's kind of the bottom line of our offering. But what's really important, in getting back to why these conversations are so important, is that choosing your funding or your finance plan is very similar to choosing your academic program. You need to find your best fit. You need to do your research. Prodigy is just one of your options, and using a tool like GradRight is really helpful to do that research. So we can go to the next slide. So I like to give a quick background on Prodigy, just because I think it helps frame who we are as a company. We are just not trying to make a ton of money off of school loans. It is inherently important to us that we are creating access to education through this funding. So our founder himself was an international student from South Africa who was accepted to an MBA program in France, but had to defer his studies because he was not able to get a cosigner on a loan. And he kind of took a step back in that time that he was deferring and said, this is really ridiculous. I've been accepted to one of the top MBA programs in the world. I know I'm going to be successful. Why wouldn't someone want to give me a loan? So he was able to save up money and eventually earn his MBA. And while he was at school, he vowed that this would not happen to other international students. So he created Prodigy with some of his peers and professors. And it was based on this risk model that essentially invested in students' earning potential. So we at Prodigy are able to offer loans without cosigner or collateral because we are investing in students' future. So we don't support all schools ubiquitously. We have strategically decided to support specific schools like UT, Dallas, and Jindal because of their rankings, their demonstrated career outcomes, and the success of the students, so that we know we're investing in a student, providing that loan, and that they're going to have a successful career and be able to pay back that loan afterward. Next slide. So this is just a quick hit on some of our statistics. We're so proud that in just 13 years, we've been able to fund over 20,000 international students as they've earned their graduate degrees. And I think what's a little bit more exciting is that those students are from over 133 different nationalities. So we, of course, fund students that are coming to the US, but we also fund students that are studying in Canada and across Europe, and very, very diverse. So next slide. This gets back to what I was already talking about. Our mission is at the heart of what we do. It is about funding access. Talented students should be able to pursue excellent educational opportunities regardless of their financial background. So that is what Prodigy is here for, to enable students to earn those top degrees and pursue their dreams. Next slide. A little bit more background at UT Dallas specifically. So since 2017, Prodigy has been able to fund 475 international graduate students. And I will just highlight here too that we love all of our borrowers, we love all of our schools, but UT Dallas is extra special to us. I think in my first year of working at Prodigy, I came to campus 4 different times for a career event, a customer appreciation night, I think international student orientation, and a couple of various meetings. So we love the energy and the students at UT Dallas, and it has been a really special relationship for us. Next slide. At Jindal specifically, in those 4 years, we have funded 330 students from 13 different countries. The average margin rate, and we'll talk about rates in a second, is about 7% across all of those students. And the average loan size is about $27,000. And I'm assuming many of you on this call are interested in the MS in Business Analytics. I already saw one chat come through. That is the most funded program right now. And I know it's a huge program at UT Dallas. So just some fun highlights there. Next slide. I won't go through all of this. I think we can certainly share these slides with you so you have all these details. Everything's on our website as well. But just some highlights from what our product offers. Everything is 100% online. So all of your forms and materials that you need to upload are all online. We'll go over those in a second. As I already mentioned, no cosigner, no collateral required. You can choose your repayment rates, so 7, 10, 15, and 20 years based on kind of your projected budget. And I think a key highlight is also that repayment doesn't actually start until 6 months after you graduate. But you can start repaying as soon as you want. So maybe you do end up securing a TA position on campus after you've been there for a couple of months. You can start repaying your loan with no penalty while you're still in school. I think that's really helpful. Next slide. So very quickly, we do have a variable interest rate, but the variable rate is actually pretty small. It's based on US LIBOR, which right now is at 0.12% and expected to stay pretty low. And then the fixed component of the rate is what's assessed on you as an individual. So you have the fixed margin, that's not going to change. That rate is based on you. And then everybody is assigned the variable rate at the US LIBOR. And those combined together give you the total rate. So this is just an example, as we already talked about, the UT Dallas rate is a little bit lower, but you are going to see some fluctuation between your peers. And sometimes people compare because, again, that is assessed on you as an individual. Next slide is just an example from the website. You can go online and see that, so we can skip over. It's just to kind of highlight that we have all of this laid out on our website when you go to visit. So we can go to the next slide. Other things to highlight about the product. So minimum loan size is $15,000, and that's for the duration of your studies. So if you're studying 2 years, you just need a loan of $15,000. That's the minimum. Maximum is 80% cost of attendance. So Dr. Shaker already talked about how cost of attendance is your tuition, your fees, and cost of living. So we can cover all of that up to 80%. So let's say, for ease of math, that your total cost of attendance is $100,000 for 2 years. We can give you a loan up to $80,000. So that's not guaranteed. That's going to depend on the individual, but that's the highest that you can receive from us. So the next line is demonstrating coverage of the entire budget. So you'll see in your application that we actually have, depending on the program that you're interested in, a budget already laid out because we've worked so closely with the school to set that up. So depending on if you're in the MS Business Analytics or the MBA program, we'll have a budget constructed for you, and then you need to populate. So let's say you are offered a loan of $80,000, but it's total cost of attendance for $100,000. We need to see how you're making up that $20,000 difference. It's extremely important to Prodigy that we're not putting you in a precarious situation where you come to campus and you have a shortfall of $20,000. So we want to see your entire budget kind of laid out in your application. And then finally, your loan needs to be certified by your school. That's another example of how closely we work with the university. So we'll put your entire budget together, and then we'll send that over to your school so they can look everything over and make sure that it's not too much or too little based on those budgets. They'll say, yes, certified, and then we actually disperse directly to the school just ahead of your program start. Next slide. Just quickly, documents that are required. Again, this is all on our website. Essentially, you can start your application. You can upload all of these documents, but the key piece that we need and what honestly acts as the collateral is your proof of admission. So being accepted to a UT Dallas Jindal program is what we need to see before we can confirm your loan. Next slide. So very quickly, borrowing process timeline. I'll go through it quickly because it's a pretty quick process. So again, everything's online. You start your application, takes about 30 minutes. This is free, everything's free. You can submit multiple applications if you're still considering other schools. You'll receive a provisional offer, which you need to act on within 14 days. Acting on that means moving forward into the verification process where you'll upload those documents that we just saw on the last screen. Then you'll be matched to funding within a week of completing your verification process. This is when we issue your loan confirmation letter, and that's what you can use for your visa and your I-20. So that's something that comes later. Your school issues an I-20 so that you can secure your visa. Then, like I said, we disperse to the school directly. They'll take out your tuition, and then the school itself will give you your cost of living funds. And then we already talked about repayments. Grace period is 6 months. We can go on to the next slide. Everything's on our website, as I've already mentioned. That's the best place to start. So go to our website. You can register with your name and email. We'll send you more information about upcoming events, our own webinars, more information, updates to our product. But I think the key feature here is that you can chat with current students or former students who are now ambassadors, and you can get a little bit more information from the mouths of people who have worked with Prodigy. And as you've already seen, we've worked with a lot of UT Dallas students, so there are sure to be some UT students that you can speak to specifically. Next slide. So also on our website, you can check your eligibility for a loan. So just by being interested in UT Dallas and eventually being accepted, I can tell you that point 2 is a check. You're interested in a school that we support. If you're an international student, you plan to study abroad, that means that if you're studying in the US, you aren't a US citizen. Pretty simple, haven't lived in the US for more than 12 months. And then you're from a country or state we support. So I'm not going to go through all of those because we support over 130 different countries, but you can go on our website and look through the list just to make sure that you are eligible for a loan. Next. So again, we already talked about this. You can chat on our website with both current students, ambassadors, and there's a chat feature for our customer support team. All of that's available once you register online. Next slide. We also, of course, have ways to access through social media. Those are all highlighted here. And again, we'll make sure these slides are shared with you so you don't have to write everything down furiously. So you can go to the next slide. We mentioned already that there's a chat feature online. You can also call in if you want to talk to somebody, if that's easier. And you can always email info@prodigyfinance.com. I don't work specifically with students on applications, but I am on LinkedIn. I'm always happy to help if something comes up or you're just not getting the answer that you need. Please feel free to chat to me on LinkedIn. I'm happy to do that as well. I know Dr. Shaker has forwarded me a couple of students that needed extra help as well. So I'm a resource if needed. I'm going to stick around to answer questions afterwards. I know that was really fast, but just wanted to get the highlights out there. And we can definitely share these slides, answer questions afterwards, and then you now know how to connect with us. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We'll get into the questions right after Brad Wright has an opportunity to speak. But Ramya, would you like to go ahead?
Yes, I do have a deck to share. Apologies, I did not know I had to send it beforehand. Is there any way I can have the screen sharing, right?
Yes, you now have the rights.
Great, thank you. As I share my screen, I just like to extend my thanks to Professor Gaurav for giving us this opportunity. Sylvia for setting it up for us. Thanks very much. And also Ryan, such a pleasure to hear you speak, and so nice to see someone from Prodigy join us today. As you mentioned, yes, we work very closely with Prodigy, and you will see that Prodigy is one of our partner lenders. Yes, I'm here to talk to you about GradRight, under education loan bidding platform FundRight. I know I have just 15 minutes. So as Ryan, I'll try and keep things moving quite quickly. But yes, our email IDs are shared towards the end. You can always write to us and ask us your questions. The idea or the agenda today is tell you a bit about or show you a demo of the world's first education loan bidding platform, FundRight, and quickly show you the team that you'll be working with if you were to use our services. Today, I'm joined by my colleagues Archita. Archita and I are part of the partnerships team, and then we also have Shivani, who's part of the student success team. So they work very closely. Shivani and her team work very closely with lenders and students, trying to ensure that timely closures can be arrived for the students. So if you have any questions, Shivani is at a very good place to answer these. So do keep them coming if the chat box is active, or do write to us. So what is GradRight? GradRight is this ed fintech platform that brings all the three critical stakeholders within the higher ed space, students, lenders, and universities, together to ensure transparency, efficiency in all transactions. And one way, the way we are doing it right now is via FundRight, which is our education loan bidding platform. So what does this mean for you? When you sign up on our FundRight platform, there's no cost, it's absolutely free. But more importantly, you get access to 95% of the education loan market. I'll let you know who those lenders are who will be bidding for your education loans. Because it is a very technologically enabled system, we are able to shrink the long drawn out process of acquiring an education loan to 7 days. So within a 7 day time frame, you're able to have pre-approvals in place. And I always say that although it's a very technologically enabled system, we have GradRight associates working with students to ensure that their questions are answered, to help them along the way, really, so that they never feel stuck. And the brilliant thing about this, sorry, I heard some background noise. And the best thing about this platform is that you can be sitting on your couch having a pizza or dal and just apply online. So it's as simple as that. And when I show you the demo, I hope you'll agree. These are our partner lenders. Ryan had mentioned Prodigy. Yes, we do work very closely with Prodigy. We also work with partner lenders, big PSUs like State Bank of India, Bank of Baroda. We recently partnered with Bank of Baroda. We also have HDFC Credit, ICICI, pretty self-explanatory, but these lenders cover 95% of the education loan market that I mentioned previously. And I'm going to quickly take you through the demo of the platform and let you know how you can progress, how the uploading of the documents work. But as I said, if you have any burning questions, please do feel to drop in the chat box and we'll pick them up. My colleagues Ashita or Shivani will pick them up. So a link will be shared with you that will be bespoke for UT Dallas. Once you click on that link, it's an OTP-based system. You sign up, give us, provide some basic information, and then you start to receive bids from lenders. Your personal information is always safe. We are a registered company in the US, so we abide by all the strict data regulation and privacy norms that are that are active in the US. And once you start to receive these bids, you then decide, along with the support of GradRight, which lender or lenders you wish to connect with. And then we work with you and the lenders to ensure that a pre-approval is placed within a 7 day working period. And this is how the sign-up screen looks. This is the bespoke UT Dallas link that I had mentioned. It is an OTP-based system, so those out of India would know how this works. A number is sent to your mobile phone, and you input that number and click on continue, and it takes you to the next screen where you choose post-graduation and abroad. We also do cater for undergraduate programs, but most students that come to us, especially for UT Dallas, are going for a postgraduate program. Make the appropriate selection here, click on next. And this is where you tell us a bit about what you did previously, how much you scored, what were your GPA or your marks. And then if you have any work experience, you can include that information here. Usually helps with the loan application process. And once you input this information, click on continue. And this is where you make the university selection. Now, apologies, it says the University of UT Dallas. It's meant to say UT Dallas, of course. So it's UT Dallas is part of a system. We have, I think, if I'm not wrong, about 200 students signed up on our platform presently since we started the company who have either gone or are in the process of securing loans for UT Dallas. So UT Dallas comes up automatically, you make the selection, and this is where you input your program details. Again, pretty straightforward. You tell us, business analytics, as Ryan said, is a very popular course. And if you're going for that, you put those details in. And then we cater for both groups of students, those who have decided to go to UT Dallas or those who are thinking but would want to know what their funding options are. So you make the appropriate selection here. And if you have received the admit and you know when your next tuition fee installment is due, if you can let us know here, we will work with the lenders to ensure that you have a timely approval and a disbursement in place. You click on continue. This is an important screen where you tell us a bit about your tuition fee. It's the financial information page. So you tell us how much the tuition fee is. The big public sector banks, as some of you may know, also cover for cost of living. You can input that information there. And then if you received any sort of scholarships or are intending to use any of your personal funds like fixed deposits or your savings towards this expense, you can put that information here. And then the system automatically calculates the amount of loan that you require. And then if you tell us which state and which city you're from, then we connect you with the regional branch so that you're not sitting in Mumbai and you're speaking to someone in Bangalore, for instance. So we try and keep it as seamless as possible for you. And according to the Reserve Bank of India regulations, when you're applying for an education loan, a co-applicant is mandatory. This is usually a blood relative, so it can be your parents or your siblings, and you put their information here, and then their salary information, which goes here. And we cater for, when I say we've got a set of partner lenders who cater for both collateral and non-collateral loans. And as Ryan mentioned, Prodigy, does not require a collateral. So again, you have the option to select, which way you would like to proceed. So make that appropriate selection and click on continue. There's some standard set of terms and conditions which say that Gradite has access to the information that you've given in these screens, and they may use that information to work with the lenders to ensure that you have the right approvals, most cost-effective loan options in place. We will not share your personal information like your phone numbers, email IDs with lenders. That will not happen unless there's explicit written consent of the student. So you won't be receiving incessant calls from the lender saying, take our loan, take our loan. That's not going to happen. And once you've agreed to these terms and conditions, the bidding process is now active. So our lenders have received the prior information that you've input minus your contact details and other personal information, and they're starting to bid on your loan application. At this stage, we always encourage our students to upload a standard set of documents, mainly because that's the best way for lenders to validate the information that you have input previously. And again, all this is done online. There's no physical movement or physical connections required. And as you will see here, there's always a graduate associate present via phone or chat to help you out during this process, because we usually find that students do need some degree of support here because they wouldn't have done this previously. And when I say documents, these are usually the students' Aadhaar card or marks sheets, passport copies maybe, and then co-applicants' documents, the ITR returns. If you're going for a collateral loan, then maybe the collateral documents. And although here it says, 27 documents, usually this is because the number is pretty big because our lenders like to have front side and back side, uploaded as separate documents. But otherwise, it usually comes down to about 15, if I'm not wrong. Again, yes, this is all done online. And whilst you're doing this, the lenders are starting to bid on your loan application. And this is just a screen grab to show you how it looks from ICICI. Nowhere is your personal information shared. As you will see, it's just the program information, your financial information, and then your education history, and they start to bid on your loan application. And this is the screen where the action happens. This is where we are infusing competition into this education loan market. As you will see, the student here has received 8 offers. We do have 11 lenders in place, but I had to like concise it so that it fits here. And these 8 lenders are offering different rates of interest and different loan amounts. But say lender 4 really likes the profile of lender 4 really likes the profile of the student and sees that lender 1 has made a better offer, the lender has to do a better job. So this information, very importantly, is visible to our lenders and to our students. So the action is all transparent. And then at this stage, the student decides, will give it a few days. With GradRight's expertise, he or she will know when to start the engagement with the lenders. And this is the screen where it happens. The student can choose to engage with 1 lender, 2 lenders. It really depends. Yes, so this is the most important screen. It might look a bit complicated, but as I said, GradRight is there to support students when they are here to begin and conclude on these negotiations. And from this stage, as I said previously, it takes about 7 working days to have a pre-approval in place, and then about 10 to 14 working days from then on to have a disbursement in place. And the reason we are able to shrink this prolonged education loan period is, one, yes, it's a very technologically enabled system, so there's a lot of efficiency that kicks in. Also, Shivani and their team work very closely, and as GradRight, we have nurtured these relationships with our lenders over a prolonged period of time. So with some lenders, our APIs are integrated with theirs. So when a student signs up on our system, it is reflected in their system. And also in cases where there are certain delays, our advisors are able to pick up the phone and speak to the lenders and see what challenges are. So there are these, there is this degree of communication that exists with GradRight and our associate that isn't available usually for a student and their family. Just very quickly, not to blow our own trumpet, but hopefully this will build trust with our audience today. We've been showcased across various platforms for the work we do. As I said, the platform is completely free for students. They don't have to pay us anything. And I think this works really, really for the benefit of our students. And we've also been recognized by the Government of India and HSBC as being the most innovative company within the overseas education space. It was a fintech challenge that they had put forward, and we were nominated as being the most innovative. And I said I'll show you the people you'll be working with very closely should you engage with us. As you will see, most of us have worked within the education or the higher education space. We have studied abroad. Some of us have studied abroad, so we know the challenges that come whilst funding our education. For instance, I did my undergrad and undergrad and master's abroad, and I know it's the same with Archita. So as Ryan sort of pointed out in the beginning, I think when students are charting their higher education dream, funding is a prime area of concern because it is expensive. So students should have all the options in place, and that is the intention of us joining this webinar. I hope I've been able to showcase the platform. If you have any questions, feel free to write to me. We'll be more than happy to share the deck with you guys. So our details are in there. You can also write to us, in the next coming days or weeks, and we'll be more than happy to answer your questions. Thank you so much.
All right, well, thank you so much, Ramya and Ryan. I think we can jump into the questions now. So let me. And again, folks, the recording of this webinar, the decks will be shared with all the registered attendees. Let's go to the chat and see what questions we have. So Anish, I've got the admission and the business analytics program. Scholarships, everything. Well, scholarships are different for both fall and spring semesters just because we have different number of students who are joining us for both semesters. I would say proportionally they could be the same, but of course, the spring semester has lesser scholarships as opposed to fall. But that doesn't mean that if you're a qualified candidate, you have a strong profile and you apply, then you just won't get it because of the numbers. If you have a strong profile and you feel that you're confident about a scholarship, please do apply. Anish, what are some of the management topics I'll be studying apart from analytics? Well, you can talk about strategy, project management, pricing, digital consulting. I mean, this is a business school, so we have got a lot of different courses around very core business topics. And one of the things that we tell our students is you have the freedom. That's why we give you the flavor that we're able to give, that you have the freedom to design your program, tailor your program to your needs. If you want to add a lot of business components to it, you can do that. If you want to gravitate towards the technical aspects of the program, you can do that. Most of our students tend to hit that balance between the two. But yes, it's upon you how you want to really tailor that. You can apply for the scholarships by going to the Jindal's website. There is a section for graduate scholarships. You can just do a free search on the Jindal website, and it'll take you to the first link will take you to the page where you can apply for graduate scholarships. You can definitely take extra courses. In fact, apart from the courses that are listed in the business analytics program, students can take up to 6 credits, which is 2 courses, from any program offered in the School of Management without any secondary approval. At the same time, if there is another school in UT Dallas, let's say the School of Math, and you want to take a stats class there, or in the computer science school and another course there, you can. All you have to do is you'll have to take approval from that department. You'll have to take approval from the business analytics department, and then we'll work it out. Remember, there could be prereqs related to these additional courses that you're taking outside of the school. So that might be another, add-on to the courses that you're taking, but it's possible. If both the schools agree, we can do that. But if it's within the School of Management and a course not offered by the business analytics program, that's the simplest way to just get into those courses. And students do take courses around from different areas. See, business analytics is very multidisciplinary. So you need to add flavors from different programs, and we let you do that very well. Okay, Loki, when I applied for a loan for Prodigy, so Ryan, this is coming your way. When I applied for a loan at Prodigy, it automatically considered program cost for MSBA Flex as 100K. And Prodigy coded to provide 60K loan, and I have mandatorily provide proof of just of 40K non-liability funds. However, the course can be completed in 85K. Need help to look deep into my case. Well, the course can be done even, in a scenario, you can finish this in $55,000 as well. And that's a range, that's an average range. So Ryan, any thoughts on that?
Yes, without going into everybody's specific case, that is actually something that Dr. Shekhar and I have already been corresponding on because of the flexibility of that program and the various different tracks that you can take. Prodigy does need to update. Is it the 3-month? Is it the 4-month? So write to info@prodigyfinance.com. Tell us what your plan is. We can then create a new track for you. And then we can migrate your information over so that you don't have to start a new application. Or if you do, we already have everything and we can help you. So the quick answer is don't worry about it. We know that there are variations. Just give us your specific details and we can help amend that for you. So thanks.
Okay. Well, that was easy. Okay, Bhargav, what do you look for giving scholarship to a student? Well, there are a lot of things. First of all, we definitely need a GRE or a GMAT score. And a lot of times students ask this question, is that the only thing we need? The answer is no. But the reason why you go for a GRE or a GMAT is because, let's say you come from different universities. Every university has a different grading scale. In some universities, if you get a 70%, let's say a 3.2 GPA, that's a big achievement just because of the kind of scale that they use. In some universities, maybe a 3.75 is an average. So how do we compare these two students? And that's where we somewhere need a standardized test that helps us. And that's why a GRE and GMAT is required. Both of them, either or the other you take, we are able to kind of convert it to a scale where we know, okay, where do you stand as a student? So that's where we kind of standardize our students. But That's just the first step. We look into your scholarship essay, your need for the scholarship. How is the scholarship going to help you? Your profile, your letter of recommendations that come, or your resume, or everything that you submit as part of your application package. Every possible bit is looked deep into. Now, one of the recommendations is, if when you're writing your scholarship essay and you say that I want to go for the scholarship because it will help me financially, that's a known truth. Scholarships do help people financially, and that kind of is the common denominator. What really you should highlight in your essay is that how, by getting this scholarship, it helps you in your academic pursuit, as opposed to the fact that it helps you save money. So think about that when you write your essay, and see what can help the scholarship committee really look at your application differently, or help you stand out as an applicant. What's the deadline for spring 22? So Rachel, the application deadline is October 1st. The documents deadline is November 1st, and the scholarship deadline is December 1st. However, I would recommend that as soon as possible, submit your applications to us. And by the way, for scholarship, your GMAT or GRE official scores should have reached UT Dallas by December 1st. Not that you have sent it through ETS or GMAT, but it should have been received by us by December 1st. That's important. The other thing is, let's say you get delayed in terms of your application beyond October 1st. You still can submit it. There'll be a $75 late fee, but we can accept your application. Are rejected applications and scholarships reconsidered for the next pool, or will be considered only if there's change in the profile? Well, first of all, rejects happen only towards the very end of the cycle. Because let's say I'm sitting on September 23rd, and I look at your application, and I find that your application may not be strong enough right now as of today to get a scholarship. I will not send you a reject. I will put you back into the pool. Maybe the next round, which will be in another 2 or 3 weeks when the committee gets together, we'll look at your application again and see where you stand in terms of competency. But let's say in every round we were not able to pick you up, and finally towards the end we tell you that we were not able to give you a scholarship. You can always apply in the next round. Your application doesn't get automatically transferred to the next round, and you will have to. But speaking about scholarships, a lot of our good students, sometimes don't come in with a scholarship. But what happens is with what they're doing at UT Dallas, through things like TA-ships that they can get in their second semesters onwards, or let's say they get a scholarship as a continuing student for what they have done here at UT Dallas, both academically and in extracurricular activities. I mean, there are cases where students did not start with a scholarship, but 3/4 of their education, they were able to cover it through a TA-ship or a scholarship, or whatever combination of those two. So keep that in mind, that if you don't start with a scholarship, it's not a deal breaker. And that's where financial institutions come into picture, that they're helping you have that continuity in terms of paying your tuition and continuing on your education. And then whether it's a TA-ship, it's an on-campus worker job, it's a scholarship, or a great internship. Sometimes, let's talk about the worst case. You didn't get any of these other things, but you got a great internship, top of the line internship that pays you, anywhere in the 40s or the 50s per hour. That's a very big number to earn as an intern, and our students do that. See, that's where the quality of the program comes into picture. These are benefits that are direct benefits of the program, because when you go and you start working in the industry, you go with a lot of great specialized pointed skills that are not readily available. So you are a person of high value, and that high value is reflected in the pay that you get. Why do you think our students are able to hit that average of about $100,000 in the first year, despite the fact that we graduated about 320 students in spring 21. Spring of 20, we had about the same number, about 100, 150 graduate in the fall. Despite big batches that are graduating, we are still hitting those averages. That means students at UT Dallas are being recognized. In terms of learning, Business Week ranked us #1 a few days ago. In terms of networking, we were #4. And that speaks a lot about the kind of opportunities that you have here. In fact, we are going back to being in person completely from the week of October 4th. And the school, this university, is known for like umpteen number of opportunities that a student can have on a single day, to shape your experience, your career here, whether it's your classes, whether it is extracurricular activities, whether it's your competitions, or you networking with people, you rubbing shoulders with the industry leaders. All that can happen on a single day, and it happens in throughout the semester. There's no day where we say, oh, we are somewhere kind of weaning away from activity. We don't. We are always in top gear, and that helps in building the experience, not only in the school, but what you get out of here. Chaitali, can a Bachelor of Commerce graduate apply for? Absolutely, you can. So the course, most of the students complete it in 1.5 to 2 years. The fastest you can complete this is 9 months. You load up courses and you're done in 9 months, but we don't recommend that. That'll be like 6 courses a semester. And at a grad level, it's too much. But most of the students that we see is 1.5 to 2 years, so 3 to 4 long semesters. The maximum time you have is 6 years. Nobody takes 6 years, but I thought I'll just mention that. But 9 months to 72 months is what the period is. Roughly how competitive is the TA RShip after the first semester? Well, again, I'll be honest, everything is competitive here. But if you're doing well and you're somebody that really has that skill of not only looking into the technical side of things, being good at it, but also manage people, because at the end of the day, TA-ship it's a people's job. It's a customer-facing job. We do hire lots of TAs in the department. About every long semester, about 40 TAs get hired just in our department, but the school hires. If there are multiple departments in the school, anywhere between 150 to 200, I would 100 plus TAs are definitely hired every semester. Now we offer a lot of courses, and when I say that, you must have looked at our curriculum, and you can see that for picking up 6 electives, you have 70 plus choices, which tells you that there are a lot of courses offered here. And of course, there are TA opportunities there. So we do hire a lot of students as TAs at the school level, and of course in the department also. Salesh, you cannot apply to the Dean's Excellence Scholarship that is listed on the page, but I would recommend talking to your program director, Dr. Heffley, about these scholarship opportunities that you have in the core program. Rashmi, my question to Ryan, regarding the variable individual assessment, that is a part of the interest rate. What are the factors that are considered?
Yeah, I saw a couple come through, so hopefully I can quickly answer all of the Prodigy related questions in a minute. Okay, so factors in the interest rate based on individual, there are 22 different factors on our application that are going to help make that fixed margin rate for you as an individual. Biggest factor, though, I would say, is everything Dr. Shaker was just talking about. UT Dallas students are earning top paying jobs after graduating. That is feeding into our model. So with every successful UT Dallas graduate, that's helping future applicants to receive a better rate. So there are a number of different factors factoring in how much loan debt you're already carrying. So I saw another question about only being offered $17,000. Without seeing your application, I can't say, but something that's really important to Prodigy is that we're not overly indebting a student. So if we see from your application that you're already carrying a heavy loan debt from undergrad, we're going to factor that into what we can offer you in terms of affordability. So I would also encourage you just to write to us, talk to somebody on the phone to get more information about why we provided you with that offer. Next question was about tax exemption when you're repaying your loans. So it's not an exemption, but we do provide you a tax statement, which you then submit with your taxes, and that's when you get that deduction. So we provide you all of that information. So the short answer is yes. And then there was a question on the conditional loan approval and if that is accepted by the school for the I-20 form. It's a great question. I can't speak for the school. All I can say is that we have been working closely with UT Dallas for a while now. We've supported close to 500 students. So UT Dallas knows that a conditional loan approval from Prodigy is as good as gold. So I think, again, I won't speak for the school, but they've been working with us for a while. So I think they're inclined to accept a conditional loan letter for I-20 purposes. But it's always good to have the confirmed letter when you go for your visa. Thanks.
Thank you so much. We see we are at the top of the hour, but I'll quickly take a few questions. So Rachel, is the tuition same for Flex and Cohort? The difference is the Cohort program goes with the flat fee rate. So irrespective of the number of credits you're taking, depending on the residency, it's a fixed rate. When the Flex program, as you take more credits, the per credit hour rate goes down. And what I would recommend is going to the tuition rates table that I showed earlier, and kind of seeing that if you take X number of credits, how much it will cost you. Remember, what I showed you in the starting were averages based on, okay, everybody's taking 9 credits, but it shifts, it oscillates between one semester where you take more credits as opposed to another where you're taking lesser credits. So that can change the equation as well for you. I mean, the least you can spend is, the $55,000, $56,000 what I showed was absolutely possible. You can do the program in less than that. And as out of that $56,000, almost $17,000 were living expenses. So if you can somehow find ways to save money there you go. You can, lessen the cost that you'll be spending here. Another thing to mention here is, folks, UT Dallas is known for the return on investment. We are number 1 in the state of Texas in terms of return on investment. Most of the financial institutions give you anywhere between 7 to 12 months, on an average, to pay back. Now students on an average take about anywhere between 2.5 to 3.5, 4 years to pay off. Like half the time, or 1/4 or 1/3 of the time that a financial institution will give you, our students are paying the loans back in that much time. And we had a student recently, the entire education was funded through an education loan, and the entire loan was paid off in 10 months. Which tells us that, the kind of money our students are making, this may be a temporary pressure on you financially, but this is an investment. Because again, at the end of the day, the careers that you get into, these are all high-paying jobs. We don't need the GRE GMAT for TA-RA because once you're at UT Dallas, it's just your UTD GPA that we look at. Amit, there are tools to convert the two scores into one another. And again, whether it's a GMAT that we look separately or we look at the GRE separately, we can make it from the 2 sections of scores that we get, that where exactly you stand. So that helps us in standardizing applications pretty well. You can ask for a GRE waiver if you want, but remember, for scholarships, you would need a GRE or a GMAT. For GRE waivers, all you have to do is send an email to jsommgradvising. It's the advising officer's email, jsommgradvising@utdallas.edu, and just a 1-line email asking them to put you on the waiver list. Again, these are not blanket waivers. They look at your undergrad transcripts and then they make a determination. And let's say if the student had to take a GRE or GMAT, would they have an enough score to get this waiver? On an average, in how many days can we expect the decision? So the official timeline is 4 to 6 weeks once we have received your documents, but generally our offices are turning it around sooner than that. So we have seen a 2 to 4 week turnaround as well, but 4 to 6 weeks. So if you don't hear back within, and when I say 4 to 6 weeks, or whenever we say, okay, something will take 7 to 10 days, it's business days. Don't include the weekends in that. What are the timings for spring 22? Well, we start on January 10th. As Prodigy states, it doesn't require a cosigner or any personal support, but when I applied, it did ask me about my salary. But I recently graduated, so no previous experiences. So asked me about savings, and a result of that, I only qualified for $17,000. So a recent graduate qualifying for a very small amount. Ryan, any quick bit on that?
Yes, that's what I was kind of alluding to when I was talking about carrying some loan debt or not having significant savings. We're assessing your affordability and what we think is reasonable for you to take on as a loan. So I would say certainly reach out to customer support and ask that they walk through exactly what was going on in that decision making. If there's anything that we could potentially be flexible with or change on your application. But ultimately, Prodigy is a responsible lender, and we're not in the business of just giving huge loan sizes if we don't think that students can afford that amount. So certainly just reach out if you have any questions and we can talk you through the decision there.
Thank you. When we would be eligible for internships and what are the ways? So again, it's a shared responsibility. You apply for internships, but we at the university, in the program, in the school, we bring in lots of companies. In fact, in 2 weeks, the MSBA program is going to have an internship and job fair, where we have several companies that are coming to hire people. That's one way of doing it. Now, you get an eligibility to work on an internship once you complete your 18 credits. Can we work part-time off campus after second semester? Well, anything that you're doing, working on has to be approved by the university. And when you say, can I work off campus, it's only an internship. You cannot go to a gas station and start working there. You cannot start working at a restaurant. All those types of employments are not allowed. And that's a violation of your status if you're an international student. Does Dean's Excellence Scholarship for an incoming student only holds for the first semester? No, it gives you the $1,000 for that 1 year, but if it qualifies you for the in-state tuition, it'll be 2 semesters. And all that will be listed on your letter. Amit, we just talked about this. Yes, if you complete your 18 credits in 1 semester, as soon as you're done with 18 credits. So we don't go by the 2-semester rule of USCIS. The reason is because our requirement to do an internship is 18 credits. Now you do it in 2 semesters, you do it in 1 semester, it's up to you. What's the success rate of students landing up to job after graduation until now? Oh, 100%. If you look at our 6 months, it's 100%. Most of our students, about 90% of them, do get a job in between 0 to 3 months, which means before graduation to up to 3 months, 90% of the students. And as we progress, month number 4, 5, 6, I would say 100% of our students get it. There's no student who has come back to us said that they couldn't land a job. 25% of the, oh, that's Ryan. Okay. How often and easily do students get GRE waivers? Well, it depends on your, as I said, undergraduate performance. If you've had a lackluster performance there, it might be challenging. It's a quantitative program. If you did not have a good quantitative background and you were scoring low grades, that will be a ground for rejection there. I'm going to take the last 3 questions here. The last one being Vinay Bhushan's question. Is there any dedicated scholarship for physically? Saira, we don't have a scholarship which specifically addresses the criteria, but do talk about it in your essay. But we don't really have a scholarship that looks beyond academic and extracurricular criteria. What would be the average salary range? As mentioned, it's about, so what we are seeing for the past few years is $100,000, the late 90s to 100,000 being the average is what we say. So there are people who are lower than that, and there are people who sometimes hit in the 200Ks as well very easily. What all are expected from the student in the Dean's Impact Scholarship? Well, if you are doing something, and this is for a continuing student, if you are doing something that is changing the landscape for our students here at UT Dallas, you're impacting student life here. That's what we need to hear from you. Now, if you are, let's say, an officer in a student organization, that's one thing. But how is that student organization or your role changing the lives of students here in the Jindal School? And that's what we look at. So engagement is necessary for the Dean's Impact Scholarship. Dean's Excellence Scholarships are more gravitated towards the academic components of your profile. The Dean's Impact is a mix of both academic as well as your co-curriculars. All right, well, I can't believe it that we have all covered all the questions that we had here, but very thankful to our guests here. Ryan, Ramya, Prodigy, GradRight, you've been fantastic here talking about different options and everybody who was involved from your end to make this happen today. Sivya, thank you so much for putting all this together and getting all our students here to be able to talk about their questions around funding. We will be sending a recording of this. We will be sending the decks as well that our guests shared with you all, but keep an eye on our email, and in a couple of days you will see this. But please join the Telegram group. You all should have received an email from me. If you're an admitted student or an active student, somebody who sent an application to UT Dallas, I would have sent you an email. If not, then you can just simply reach out to me and I'll send you the link to the Telegram group. That's another place where you can ask your questions and let us know how we can help you. But this is something we do every 2 weeks, and we look forward to you coming to UT Dallas, furthering your journey here with us, and can't wait for the future where we can see all of you here in person. But Ryan, Ramya, thank you so much again for all your help today, and thanks a lot, everybody. Well, you all have a great weekend, and we hope to see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, John. Nice to meet you. Bye-bye. Bye.